Up the Score TV checking in. I'm your host, Sosa Velli. Let's get right into the XFL Week 3 recap. The Beer Snake is finally free and back. The Rock and the XFL owners decided to listen to the motherfucking fans and gave the Defenders their little Beer Snake back. How long the tradition will be back is up for debate since the Defender fans were throwing cups around even though the XFL explicitly stated to not throw the cups in order to keep the Beer Snake. Nevertheless, all that lemon throwing and Defender crying got them their Beer Snake, and the Beer Snake is back. This game was average to me with 5 fumbles and 2 interceptions total, mainly because the refs admitted to missing calls to AJ McCarron. Check this post-game interview out where he tore into the refs.
4 times in the game where the refs came back to us and said, we missed that call, and apologized. Straight up apologized. I think it was helmet to helmet at the end on 4th and 15 on me. And then the dude power drives me at the end. We haven't had a defensive pass interference in 3 games.
And honestly, that's a big yikes. The officials need to get this shit together, because that's why I don't bet on games. It's never 100% the teams determining the score. I definitely felt like the Battlehawks was going to win this one. They definitely looked like the better team, at least compared to the Defenders. In my opinion, the only reason the Defenders walked into this game undefeated is because they played sorry-ass Luis Perez when they went against the Defenders instead of Brett Hundley, who, even though he lost this game this week, he still balled out and showed that he's number 1 quarterback potential compared to Luis Perez. Had they played them, they definitely would have been 1-1. So I definitely don't think they deserve this win, and I still believe Battlehawks are a better team. Nevertheless, they would go on to lose this game to the DC Defenders with a final score of 34-28.
One step, 4th to 15, McCarron, pressure, and he's dropped. Devin Bentley saves the game for DC. Oh, and we have something going on after the play. All kinds of flags. With a game that was this good, you hate to see it turn to this. Tempers have been flaring the entire game. It's been very chippy.
Now, let's move on to Up the Score TV's Game of the Week, which is going to be the Vegas Vipers versus the Seattle Sea Dragons. The first half of this game was boring, I'm not going to lie, but it picked up after the second half, and it picked up for the better. Ben DiNucci and Josh Gordon's connection was at its hottest this game, going 377 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 32 rushing yards, 133.9 passer rating for the QB. One of those TDs being a game-winning TD with Josh Gordon clutching it at the 4th. After a performance like that, Ben DiNucci's new nickname is Big Gucci DiNucci, because he straight balled out. The Vipers' offense played amazing this game. Brett Hundley showed he's definitely QB1 material, and I know Luis Perez is somewhere punching the air. Nevertheless, their defense would hold them back and get them the L, which would make the final score 30-26. And a couple of days later, they would be the first team this season to fire a coach by firing their offensive coordinator, Dwayne Taylor, replacing him with wide receiver coach Ray Sherman, who coached for the Steelers. Moving on to the San Antonio Brahmas versus Houston Roughnecks game. Brandon Silvers and Kirkland's connection was undeniable this game, ending with 6 receptions, 77 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, leaving Kirkland first in XFL touchdowns and third in XFL receiving yards. Some thought the Brahmas were going to win this game due to their performance against the Guardians last week, but this performance today from Jack Cohn shows that the Brahmas need help and that win was just based off of beating a garbage team.
The pick of the week
because
title
they
goes
got
to
completely
Genie Harris of the Houston
game.
Roughnecks after he picked off Jack Cohn in the fourth quarter. Look at this amazing pick. Even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had to give him his flowers. This was one of the best picks I've seen so far this season. Which also leads me to my next title. Worst QB of the week goes 100% to Jack Cohn. He showed us that win against the Guardians was only because they suck and not because he's good, because his performance was very, very bad this game. Brandon Silvers would finish with 278 yards and 3 passing touchdowns with a final score of 22-3, leaving the Roughnecks still undefeated. For the final game of the Week 3 recap, we have Arlington Renegades versus the Orlando Guardians. This part of the recap is going to be quick and blunt. The worst game of the week title goes to, sadly, my Arlington Renegades versus the winless Orlando Guardians. With a final score of 9-10, this game was so boring to watch, I'd rather watch paint dry. The Guardians are going to go on to still be winless and go against the Roughnecks next week. Speaking of the Houston Roughnecks, they are currently sitting at number 1 of XFL Zone's power rankings entering Week 4, with the DC Defenders at number 2, the Battlehawks at number 3, Sea Dragons at number 4, Renegades at number 5, Brahmas at number 6, Vegas Vipers at number 7, and the Guardians at number 8, which I couldn't agree with more, because even though the Vegas Vipers are winless just like the Guardians, the Vegas Vipers are way, way better than the Guardians. And here are your XFL North and South standings entering Week 4, provided by XFL Zone. That's going to be it for your XFL Week 3 recap. Are you excited for Week 4? What team are you rooting for? Let me know all that and more down below. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell for your number 1 source, all football. This is Sosa Velli checking out.